Hey everybody, what do we have going on right now? We've got a war in mainland Europe that's killing something like hundreds of people a day on average and probably spikes into the thousands on certain days. The US economy was in recession last quarter. Um, if it shrinks again this quarter, it'll be an official recession. The S&P 500 broke below 3900 for a while during the day, I think on Thursday, and ended up settling just barely over 3900. It's down 19% year to date from the high. We've got gas prices going nuts. I mean, I hate to sound like that old guy who dwells on gas prices, but I paid $65 to fill up my car this weekend, which is very abnormal. Inflation is going crazy. I mean, my wife talks about the cost of groceries and what she normally buys and how much more it costs now. So, lots of really bad economic indicators. Commodity prices are super high. Just a lot of negativity about the economy, about the state of the world, about a whole lot of individual things. And, people, especially investors, get into this attitude that when times are bad, everything is bad, everything will stay bad forever, nothing will ever come back, it's all over, and it's the end. And it's really weird because, I'm not even 40 years old, and I've lived through several of these cycles already. I mean, and ones that I can remember since I've more or less been an adult, since at least the courts say I'm an adult. And so, there was 9/11 and there was a lot of economic turmoil over that. All the airlines nearly went bankrupt. There was the 2008 recession. There was COVID and all of the turbulence in 2020 in the markets because of that. But the thing you realize is every time it happens, the markets bounce back. And if you go to any graph of something like the S&P 500 over the course of decades, it always goes up because people get up every morning and they go to work and they create value. They do work, they accomplish things, they make money, they invest, they start businesses, they add employees, and everything gets better and better over time financially. We all live wealthier lives today than the King of England lived in 1930. And so, economically, things just get better and better and better over the long timeline. But as humans, we always make this mistake of focusing on the short term. We focus on dumb things like, oh man, the stock market's down 19% year to date. And it's, who cares? In 2 or 3 years, it'll be back up. And this gets into something that I talked about in a video maybe a long time ago. I'll have to go back and see, but I'll put it up here. And it was about price driving sentiment. And basically that people will look at the price of a security or an asset or, crypto, real estate, collectibles, whatever. And they will allow their opinion of that thing to be driven by what the current price is. So in essence, they're jumping on the bandwagon. And they're saying if the price is down, the thing must be worthless. It's probably going to be worthless forever. And there's no hope for it. Sell now, protect what you have left. And the reality is that price should be driven by your sentiment that should be based on some type of fundamental analysis. And people just don't do that. We're really bad at that as humans. And we make this mistake again and again and again, no matter how many times we see bull markets follow bear markets, no matter how many times we see assets that were beaten down eventually come back. And, we're doing it now. People are doing it right now. They're saying, oh, these magic products, they're terrible. These 2022 products, they'll never be worth anything. They are overpriced. Everyone is quitting magic. No one will come back. There will be no one to buy in the future. Maybe even they're still saying there are too many investors hoarding too much product back in closets. That's something they were saying back in 2020, 2021. And, all those things are wrong. And time will bear out that they are wrong, that they were overly pessimistic. And people said the same thing the last time we had a real turbulent market, which was March, April, May of 2020. People said, this COVID thing is the end of the world. No one will ever play with cardboard again. No one will want magic. Nobody will see any value in these 2020 era magic products. And there's no point in investing in them. There's no point in hoarding them in your closet and hoping they go up in price for the future. And those people were wrong. And what I'm going to do is ask you, maybe we have some data about this, about what happened with 2020 era Magic products. And so what I've done here is I've just taken products that lived most of their life for, the beginning of their life, at least during 2020 for Pokemon and Magic the Gathering. And I just kind of assumed a basis cost. Now, I will definitely entertain if people want to pick out what I've chosen for a basis cost here. What I've kind of imagined is maybe what you would pay if you were a small card store and your distributor was kind of bending you over the barrel during 2020 because there were product shortages. There were people staying at home who were reconnecting with their childhood love of these games. And so the demand was high, the supply was uncertain, and prices were elevated. Now, certainly for all of these sets that I've assumed a basis of $90 for Magic, I bought some of those at $90. I mean, those were certainly available in those kind of price ranges. And I didn't have a good feel for what Double Master started at. I just assumed 180. Maybe that's way off. But, if we look at what today's prices for these things are and we calculate the compound annual growth rate, even assuming you had to pay these slightly elevated basis costs, you're still looking at compound annual growth rates that make the stock market look like a roadside flea circus. And I know all of you guys out there who are knowledgeable about the stock market, you're looking at these CAGRs and you're licking your lips because these are amazing. When we talk about investing in the stock market, we're looking for 8, 10, 12% maybe compound annual growth rate over the long term, over decades. If you're just doing things like investing in S&P 500 ETFs, you're going to get 8 to 10 to 12%. And look at this. What's the worst product? Theros Beyond Death, 8.5% compound annual growth rate since its release day. And that's another conservative point on this analysis, is this assumes you had to buy the product on release day. You could not wait and buy it later at a cheaper cost. So, these 2020 era products, they have done great. Here are the data using pretty conservative assumptions that these products have done great. And you know what? The 2022 products, they're going to do great also. WotC will drive away some players with the price increases. The economy suffering, inflation being out of control, the price increases of Magic, those things will drive some players away, absolutely. But you know what? When the economy swings back up in 1 year, 2 years, whenever, when it swings back up, when wages start to rise again, when we have more prosperity in general, then those people will decide, I've got discretionary income again, and I kind of miss playing Magic. And they'll come back. Some of them will come back. Some of them will be replaced with new players who haven't played before. Some of them will be replaced with players who have been gone for longer. But it's not the end of the world for Magic. Magic has had huge losses of player base in the past. It'll have them again in the future. It'll recover from all of them. It'll continue to be the number one game for probably at least another decade. It doesn't look like anything is on course to challenge it for the number one spot anytime soon. And so you can still invest with confidence in new product, new standard Magic, new standard Pokemon. Sealed product is always going to be in style, and it's always going to be investable. It's always going to have good returns. Sometimes the returns may be so bad as 15, 16, 14% compound annual growth rate. But then you see products like Double Masters. You see some of the Pokemon products I talked about in a video a couple days ago that had nearly 100% compound annual growth rate since they had released in 2017. You're talking about products that are 4 and 5 years old, and they have nearly 100% compound annual growth rates over that whole period. So, nothing has fundamentally changed. All of these things are still investable. And somebody commented on my Friday Sealed Deals video yesterday that I was basically casting a wide, thin net. And I thought that was a really good way to put it, because that's exactly my strategy. I'm not smart. I'm patient. I'm decently capitalized, and I can afford to put a little bit of a position back in every one of these sets that comes along in 2022. and bet on the average of all of these kind of compound annual growth rates that you see over to the right that you got from 2020, I bet we see about the same average of the 2022 product's performance 2 years out from their release. Nothing has fundamentally changed. Markets go up, markets go down, but ultimately on the long timeline, they go up because everybody gets up every morning, they go to work, they do work, they create value, they build things, they invest, they create businesses. The economy marches on, we all get wealthier. That's how economics works. So stop fretting about today, stop fretting about the short-term noise, about the latest squawk box session that you listen to that talks about the end of the world and perma bear markets and things like that. It's all nonsense. It's all short term. Remember, the long term theses are what matters. And the reality is, humans keep creating more humans. Markets keep growing. Magic and Pokemon are the best games in the TCG market. And you will make money if you simply have the patience to put back a little bit of every product and sit on it for several years. Let me know what you think, guys. I've been through a lot of these kind of cycles in the stock market in the last 20 years. And so coming over to the TCG market in the last couple of years and seeing the same thing, except seeing everybody panic just so much harder, it's kind of disheartening, but also it means there's a lot of money to be made if you are patient. So be patient and join me on Final Trade. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thanks a lot, guys.